Our first patient story comes from Waly Vogel today. He is a Kidney Cancer Canada board member, and would you please give him a warm welcome to begin our session.
Great. Okay, I hope everyone enjoyed their lunch. You may be a little bit drowsy after lunch. I am too. But if I can stay awake for a few minutes and for this talk, you can too. So it's called From Stage 4 to NED. So if you were listening this morning, you know what Stage 4 means. You may or may not know what NED means. But that will come out through the course of the talk. So we'll cover that. So why should you listen to my story? Why am I standing up here and talking about my story? There are many stories in this room, all of which are important and all of which are very deeply personal. Why mine? Well, it is a story of survival against the odds, and you'll hear about that. I think it is an example of taking charge and managing your health, which are the themes of today's conference. So I think it's in line with the theme. It's certainly a demonstration of what medical advances can do. When we were hearing the talks this morning, there were so many things that I heard that are available generally now that for me, several years ago, it was very leading edge to be able to access some of these things. And I hope it's going to be an inspiration and an encouragement for you, especially for those of you that may be facing tough odds yourself. So I hope that you'll be able to draw some inspiration and encouragement from my story and my journey. There's a picture up here of myself and my beautiful wife, Jane, who's here with me today, and who has been with me through this whole journey. And she's been my inspiration and my encouragement. And I'll share with you something that she always said. Every step of the way, her mantra was, whatever it takes. Hey, we had a setback, onward, whatever it takes. And that's what got me through it. So I want to publicly thank her for all those years of support. And so this is a picture. I think everyone's here because your lives have been impacted by kidney cancer. I have a picture of the very last second of my life before it was impacted by kidney cancer, which is this picture. We were on March break. This was back in 2003, and I went cliff diving in Jamaica. Yes, I jumped off a perfectly good cliff. And this is the picture just before I went in and hit the water. And when I hit the water, I came up sputtering, and I thought, oh, I've broken a rib. Because I was sputtering, I was coughing, I just didn't feel right. And I knew there was something wrong, but I ignored it. Again, my wife said, go to the doctor. I said, no, it's fine, it's a broken rib. They don't do anything for broken ribs anyway. Until a few weeks later, when my kidney ruptured. Then I went to the hospital right away. Because that was fairly painful. Anybody that has been through that experience knows that it's fairly painful. So that, from that point forward, certainly my life was impacted by kidney cancer. The doctor said these words to me when I went into his office. He said, we've looked at the scans and you have kidney cancer. I had never heard of kidney cancer before. I had never heard of RCC before. These were new terms to me. And he said, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a radical nephrectomy. That's the way they did it then. Again, you've heard about a lot of the advances now. Back then, it was pretty much immediate radical nephrectomy. So that's what they did, and that was good. And after that, the doctor said to me, well, he says, we got it all, and it's a good thing because you had a very aggressive form of kidney cancer, and he said, you're lucky we got it all. I said, well, what do I need to do now? He said, go home, don't worry about it, we're going to do a follow-up in 6 months, but 95% chance everything's going to be okay. Okay, so I felt like I had dodged a bullet, and I went, phew, okay, let me go get on with my life. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Well, until I went back for the routine follow-up, which wasn't so routine. This was January of 2004 now. It was a 6-month follow-up. And, they usually don't say anything when you go in for a scan or a test. They won't say anything to you. I went in, and the technician was scanning me with the ultrasound machine. She said, excuse me, I'm going to have the radiologist come in. The radiologist came in. He did the same thing, scanning me. He said, okay, you need to go see your oncologist right away. He said, your cancer is back, and it's back in a big way, and you need to go see him right away. So I didn't even have to wait for the results. So that was I guess, the good part of it. So a CT and biopsy confirmed that I had a 10-centimeter metastatic tumor in the renal bed. So basically, the space that was vacated by the kidney got filled by tumor over that 6 months. So that's when I started researching options. Up until then, as I said, I mean, the doctor said you need surgery right away. I had surgery right away, dodged a bullet, hey, doing fine. But now I started looking on the internet, researching my options, and trying to find out what was going on. So I knew that I was stage 4, which means the disease has spread, and I was also grade 4, which, as you heard Dr. Finelli talk about this morning, is the most aggressive form. So when you look at, those are some survival curves there, and I was definitely on the lowest curve. As a matter of fact, I took the liberty of correcting Dr. Finelli. He put a slide up here from 2000 that said grade 4, 0% survival rate. And I said, well, that's not true because I'm still here. So he has to update his slide. So if you're stage 4 or grade 4, come see me afterwards. I'll put up my contact information. I'd love to talk to you. So I decided to get, I researched on the internet via discussion groups. I decided to get a second opinion from Cleveland Clinic, so I went to see Dr. Andrew Novick, who was mentioned earlier, and I actually got a hallway consultation from Tony Finelli, from Dr. Finelli, who was there doing his work at the time. And so that was good. I also got a third opinion from Princess Margaret Hospital. That was from Dr. Michael Jewett, who you also heard speaking earlier today. So I really was trying to research and trying to get the very best advice that I could and see what could be done. I'll just mention one other thing on survival curves. You know, there are all these curves that you see. The only curve that matters really is your personal survival curve. And if you got up this morning and you're here, you're at 100%. Congratulations. Okay? So just keep it there and you'll be fine. So after all that, the decision was to go back for a second surgery, try to get out what was there, try to minimize the disease that I was carrying while we looked for other options. So they did that. They removed the tumor, the surrounding tissue, part of the colon, whatever else they could find. The rib was already gone. And immediately after surgery, I tried to get into an adjuvant clinical trial. And Dr. Bjarnason, who's also here and who you've heard speak, was very helpful in terms of helping to find the very best treatment, even though at that time there were very few treatment options. But unfortunately, I didn't qualify for the clinical trial because 5 weeks afterwards, when they went to do a baseline scan, they said, sorry, you've already got tumors back again. So you're not going to qualify for the clinical trial. So again, Dr. Bjarnason was able to refer me at the time. Immunotherapy or high-dose IL-2 was not available in Canada at that time, but it was available in the United States. So Dr. Bjarnason helped me get to Milwaukee, where I did high-dose IL-2 at St. Luke's Hospital. I did 2 cycles, which is considered one treatment course. There were numerous severe side effects. I won't go into them because I would definitely go over time if I went into the side effects. But the pictures there are sort of progressive. The first one, I'm kind of cheerful and, okay, let's go, let's do this. The second one, they're pumping me with half a dozen IV bags to try to keep me halfway normal. And by the third one, I'm just puffed up with all the liquids and medicines that are pumped in through the IVs. And it's a very harsh treatment, but it works for some people, so it's worthwhile to investigate. So that was the IL-2 treatment. So unfortunately, though, while it was very hard on my body and had a great impact on my body, it really didn't have much of an impact on the tumors, which continued to grow rapidly. They actually grew 90% over the couple of months that I was doing the high-dose IL-2. So at that time, I was literally out of options. The cancer spread to a whole bunch of organs: spleen, liver, pancreas, intestines, and muscles. Basically anywhere between here and here, I had tumors. They were too numerous to count. The radiologist stopped counting them. They just said too numerous. And basically discontinued treatment in June 2004 that the IL-2 wasn't working. I was told by a very wise doctor to go home and put my affairs in order, which was actually probably good advice at the time, given everything that we knew. I went to see my family doctor, who said, hey, you've got a few months, why don't you go ahead and live it up? Actually, probably not bad advice either, again, given what we knew at the time. So I decided to try to buy some time, and again, on the advice of the best doctors, sought out the most promising clinical trial. And it happened to be offered at that time at the Cleveland Clinic. So I enrolled in that. So I was patient number 67 of a trial of a new drug called SU0011248. And so my goal at the time, so this was July, August of 2004, my goal was to live till Christmas. I thought that would be really great. If I could see another Christmas, that would be really great. The clinical trial nurse, that's her picture there, Laura Wood, and she actually got a little bit mad at me because she was asking me all these clinical trial questions. Some of you have probably gone through the same round of questioning. And she's asking me all these questions. I said, at one point I said, listen, I know this isn't going to cure anything. I'm just trying to buy a little bit of time. And she got a little mad at me. She said, don't say that. She said, you don't know what this drug can do, and that's why we're doing the trial. She said, you don't know that it can't cure you. So I took her comments to heart and went ahead and started on the trial. So just a little personal side note here, because diseases happen to bodies, but the bodies belong to people that are in relationship. And so at the time, 2 teenage daughters, they're more grown up now, but my 14-year-old daughter asked me about the upcoming father-daughter dance at her school. She was going to an all-girls school, and she said, Dad, are you going to be able to take me to the father-daughter dance, which I think was November that year? And I said, well, I can't make a promise, but I'll try. If it's humanly possible, I will definitely take you. And that's when my younger daughter, who was 4 years younger, 10 years old, said, well, Daddy, are you going to take me to the father-daughter dance too? And I just cried. I didn't know what to say to her because I thought I couldn't imagine 4 years in the future. It just didn't seem like anything that could be considered at the time. And I literally just cried and didn't know what to say. And for those of you that have young children, that's part of cancer is what do you say to your children? But again, I can't go into that because I'm going to run so far over time it won't even be reasonable. So at this point I think it was about 15 CT scans, every one worse than the one before. I was kind of the bad news bearer of kidney cancer. And could we have that video clip play now? So this is Dr. Ron Bukowski at the Cleveland Clinic talking about my response to that clinical trial drug. If we can't get it up, we'll just move on. Oh,
When you look at the most recent examination, if you go from here to this one, you really see it's so much smaller, okay? Much smaller.
The drug is breaking new ground. Dr. Bukowski has been searching for a breakthrough like this his entire career.
Everything looks like it's continuing to improve, so, he's done exceptionally well with his treatment. When you
That's
look
great.
at
Can
the
we go
most
back to
recent
the- can we go back to
examinations, if
the-
you go from here to this one, you really see it's
So,
so much smaller.
you heard in Dr. Bukowski's word, and you saw, if you could see the screen on the slide, I had very dramatic results from the clinical trial. And I can't tell you how happy I was at the time. Can we flip back to the presentation? That's awesome, thank you. So I was tracking my own tumors at the time, so I had an Excel spreadsheet and I tracked my tumors as I was on Sutent. The dark blue line up top is the total volume of tumors that I was tracking, and the other smaller lines down below are the individual tumors. If you can see on the slide, those small lines down below, most of them go down to 0 at some point. Those are the tumors that were disappearing one after the other as I continued on the drug, and the total volume went down. I really love this because to me this was like the survival curve for the tumors, and the tumors were dropping off and I was still around. So that was working out for me. Now you notice though, so I was on Sutent for about 2 years, and you notice that towards the end it levels out, right? I had to do a dose reduction because of side effects, and there were some stubborn tumors that weren't going away. So I came back to Princess Margaret. I talked to Dr. Jewett and told him where I was, and he was able to help quarterback for me to get another surgery to try to get the last couple of tumors. So they removed my spleen and part of my pancreas in the surgeries. We learned something. We learned that, and by the way, that drug that I talked about by number before, by this time was called Sutent. So most of you in the room will know Sutent. So I was the guy that they found out that you can't do surgery while you're on Sutent. So I was actually in hospital and in pretty rough condition for about 2 months after the surgery because the incision just would not heal at all. So, but despite that, we found out there was one tumor left. So after all that and scanning, we found there was one tumor left. And that's where we tried, the surgeons didn't want to go back to surgery. They were afraid to put me back on Sutent for fear that the healing process would stop. So we switched over to a different approach and tried radiofrequency ablation, which you heard Dr. Chu talk about this morning. So the tumor was actually in my back in the psoas muscle. It wasn't a good candidate for surgery. We knew that it was resistant to Sutent. So we tried what back then was a novel therapy with RFA. And that was May 2007. It was done at Toronto General Hospital by John Kachura. And I appreciated him stepping out and trying a novel treatment because it worked. And my next scan showed no evidence of disease, which is what that NED term stands for. So I've been off all treatment since June 2007. I have been scanning clear since June 2007, and that goes to day before yesterday when I was in Dr. Jennifer Knox's office, and she said, "Congratulations, you're clear again this year." And I did take my daughters to a total of 6 father-daughter dances and enjoyed every one. So just very quickly, what are some of the lessons that I learned that hopefully will be helpful to you as well? You have to realize that cancer is a very serious and often deadly disease, but at the same time, there's always reason to hope, so don't ever give up hope. A piece of advice that I got from a book, which I'll refer to you to if you like afterwards, is to put your affairs in order first. So in other words, assume the worst outcome, put all your affairs in order, and then once that's done, just set it aside and don't think about that option anymore. Just concentrate all your energy on surviving. Seek out the best medical professionals that will have the expertise for your situation. I'm qualifying this because, as I said, I mean, I was so blessed to be in front of some of the best doctors in Canada and the United States. But if you need a routine nephrectomy, you're probably better off to get it at your local hospital faster than to go to Princess Margaret. Every single kidney cancer patient doesn't need to go to Princess Margaret, right? The ones that need that level of expertise should be going there. The ones that need a fairly simple routine procedure, get it done in your local hospital. It'll be faster, you'll be closer to your family. There are a lot of advantages to doing that. Educate yourself by researching reputable sources, and advocate for yourself. Deb Maskin's being one of the best examples of that, and fight your battle. And sort of coming back to what the first presentation this morning said, even in the midst of the battle, don't forget to live your life. It's so important. Even with cancer, every day is a gift. Enjoy it, and thank you.
I said before Waly came up, you were going to get many of the same themes, and definitely from speaking as a fellow patient, Waly, don't take no for an answer. I think that's probably one of the things that I have learned through my career with kidney cancer, that's for sure. Obviously, when you're taking Sutent, there are side effects that come along. The common ones are obviously, as you've seen from the slides before, diarrhea. You can get some mouth discomfort and hand and feet pain and stuff like that. And, you can get tired. But you can cope with them. One of the things that I have done for mouth sores over my career with kidney cancer was baked potatoes with butter. Go figure, it helped. And I'm sure if Pfizer could put that in a pill, it would too, but it's something that helped for me, and obviously you're going to get some other information in just a couple of minutes. And the other thing that I've done, and nobody's kind of mentioned it, and maybe it's something we should look for in future kidney cancer patient conferences, but since 2007, have been on a weekly dose of acupuncture, and I can tell you, I think, in my mind at least, it is what really allowed me to tolerate the 28 days on, 7 days off. And if nothing else, I look at it that I get, 45 minutes laying down once a week that no one's going to bug me. So that's how I look at it as.